And this is Dabu 7 Underground World News Live this February 3rd or March 3rd, 2017. And the time just flying by. And truly, for me, it seems like the days just fly by anymore. Welcome everybody to the show. Past few days, well, I spent dealing with the repercussions of a storm system that came through here. I don't know about everybody else out there, but that system was packing a punch. It came through and knocked out the power. I woke up like 3:30, flash flood warnings, 4 something, flash flood warnings, then 7 a.m., booms, and then tornado warning. It was like, what? And then the power goes out. And that's worse. You know, as soon as you hear tornado warning, and then all of a sudden now the TV, nothing else is working for communication. Everything's out. It puts you in a situation where you better hope you have a plan. And in this area, I think I was one of the last people to get power back up, going on 3 days. But it was it hit us by surprise, and it was a learning experience. I always talk about practicing the grid down weekend, you know, having time to do it. Well, it caught me by surprise. But luckily, it's not a pure chaos moment. You know what I'm saying? I could get out to the store and try to fix the holes in my game. I put out a survival video, try to help people out there in terms of just that. A lights out situation, grid down type of situation. What are you going to do? I come to find out when hooking everything up that, you know, I have a good solar generator, but it's good for using it in that aspect. If you don't have the sun, you can't recharge it the way that it's designed to be recharged unless you plug it into the wall. If you don't have that and you're just running off of it, you have to be selective of what you're doing, and you have to know what kind of energy you're going to be pulling, because it counts. Hook a little heater up, man, it will suck some energy out of that generator. Just a word of advice. But I found that I could hook up a lot of things like the modem, cable box, the router, multiple computers, light, cell phones, all this stuff, and was only pulling out like 50 to 60 watts, and I was still bringing in off of another generator more than that. So what I had to do is run out and get a big gas power generator to float the whole thing, because really, if you don't have one of them to power the fridge and all the other essentials, something that's going to run 10 to 12 hours on a full tank of gas, unless you're fine with, you know, sitting with candles for a couple of days and having no connections. I know other people don't want their food to go to waste. I didn't want mine to in that position. Once again, the weather shifted too, back down to the 30s. So it was cold. I come to find out where I'm at with the chimney, I couldn't use it the way that I was wanting to provide heat because of issues. So I'm glad I discovered that. And shout outs to one of my boys that said that he would take me up on an offer on, you know who you are, that said he'd take me up on an offer on checking that out. I appreciate that. But when running my cables, I also was going down to the hot water heater. And I'm like, okay, we got to get some hot water, right? I want to be with cold water for a couple of days. So I get down there, come to find out the way that it was rigged and set up, couldn't just plug into it. So that's an adjustment I'm going to have to make for down the road if I want to be able to tap into that with the generator and the plugs. These are things to think about, people, in a lights out situation. You know, once I had all that up and running, you know, lights on, had the fridge going, we had burners to cook stuff. I will say things like a TV and things like that, they will consume a lot of power if you try to plug them. I tested a lot of things with the wattage, you know, just plugging things in, different things, seeing what was going to do what. So
also, side note with the televisions, the power consumption will be heck of a lot different if you have, like, maybe you might have a tube television, one of the older style, a lot of power. But if you have like a small LED one that you may just have as a backup for whatever, right, use that. If you have a power outage and you need to watch TV, don't try to power your 60-inch that I'm sure a lot of people have.
Right. Because I know a lot of people want to tune in and see the local weather, and I get it when storm systems are coming through. One thing that I found that was key here, I'll say this: power's out. I think most people think when the power's out that, okay, everything's out, we don't have anything. Well, I took the solar generator. I was plugging different stuff up. I thought about it. I was like, I'm going to plug in the routers to see what happens. I plugged it in, and it powered up, and it connected. It had service. So I was able to get out some Periscope information, and it gave me a port, even though the power went out for miles around here. I could still tap in to the outside world and get a message out and everything else. So that was key, because when the power was out, also, killed the charger for the phones and everything else. So those are things to think about. A lot of things to learn in situations like that. And welcome to the show, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Just chatting here a little bit. What's going on with you?
Nothing, man. Last minute customer. Sorry, I'm jumping in a little bit late, but it sounds like I'm jumping in one of my favorite topics here, man. You guys, well, everybody on the East Coast and in Central has been getting rocked the past couple of days, and I know you've been going through it. And it's nice to have, some of the stuff that you had to be able to push through certain situations.
How did it hit you? Because I was seeing tornado warnings at one point right outside of Philly. I seen you retweeting stuff.
Yeah, man. They first, I don't know how. I don't know if it's the lay of the land, the way that the region is here, flatlands and the mountains and such. But for some reason, when these major storms push through, if they don't have, like, this particular storm was really long, but it was really skinny. So, when that happens and they push through our area, it just kind of split open right over Montgomery County, right over Delaware County. And I didn't really get hit too bad. I could see it crossing over. The wind started blowing east and just blew the storm right over my area. So now the people in the county right above me and the people in the county just south of me got nailed really hard. But us not so much. So, it's a blessing in that sense.
You're in a valley, aren't you?
A lot of small hills, but it's lowland. It's not there's not too many big areas.
Yeah, usually the middle of those valleys for some reason never get hit inside of that area.
Yeah,
and you could see it right on the radar. I screenshotted it.
There's some unique areas for people that don't know out there coming back from DC. If you're coming back, heading toward the west, Kentucky, Tennessee, something like that. The route that I went here this past time, I came through an area that was called Foggy Bottom after I left DC, and started to head up into the mountains. And boy, I tell you what, man, it was the most fog I ever seen in my life. I understood then why they called it Foggy Bottom.
And we do get that around here. We get nice thick.
Tremendous. I mean, like lakes of fog. You hit these open patches, and then you could just see like the fog, like a blanket of it, like a lake. I mean, for miles. It was beautiful. I got some pictures of it. I put on Instagram, but definitely it's a unique layout there because something causes that area to always get foggy, rather than the other areas around it. But yeah, that's a unique part going through there. The mountains are always beautiful, and that's my favorite part of ever hitting the road is trying to enjoy the scenery. Besides driving, I'm always driving. Half the time when I hit the road, more than half the trip is always driving. So I try to take in the best parts of it. Utah was beautiful. That's probably the most beautiful part of the country I've ever seen. Was Utah from the car. But
isn't that where our homeboy Mr. A resides?
Yeah.
Whenever beautiful territory.
Clips of him working wherever he's working, it looks like he's in God's country too, in the background. All beautiful, the mountains and everything. But Yeah, I was got quite a few different stories here lined up for tonight. We were just talking about the weather, obviously coming through, but the weather in Antarctica has also shifted a little bit. They said that they had a record high there, and they're showing pictures here of one of the bases down there that just has a minimal amount of snow around it, and the rest is dry land, exposed. So there's a lot of land and that is not covered in ice and snow. And it's interesting at this time of year, it's 63 degrees down there right now. The South Pole.
Yeah, we almost hit 70 here yesterday, and we got 2 blasts of snow this afternoon. So, needless to say, anybody who has allergies or is susceptible to temperature changes feeling it right now. I mean, the past couple months.
Right. It keeps going up and down like a roller coaster, man. It can mess with people's sinuses and everything else.
For if in case anybody didn't know, I just actually found out today, but a few days ago, instead of Massachusetts had their first tornado since 1950.
Yeah. They're starting early. They sprung up across several states there. But now that I think about it, damn, today it was warmer at the South Pole than it was here at my house. It's 30 degrees here.
Now that's crazy.
It was twice. It was twice as warm at the South Pole today than it was here in Kentucky.
You hit 30 today?
Yeah, I know. And you were warmer than me too. I looked to see Cleveland was like 50 or something.
Well, I don't know about that.
40s at least.
Outside.
I was on Weather Channel. I looked and I was like, well, damn, man, they're up there in the Great Lakes and they're warmer than us. What the hell's going on here?
Weather Channel takes drugs then, because it was sure enough about 7 degrees when I went.
He said Kentucky anchors are smoking crack. That's what he said.
Either way, it's cold and I'm sick of it. And I'm Antarctica being warmer than here just defines it.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm retracting my statement about the Weather Channel. Not retracting.
There's links for all these stories, as I always say, in the description box. And I got another one here that kind of goes with this. Well, here, real quick, I got another one in there, and we'll talk about this real quick. One of these rivers, a Pyrenees. Where is the river in Pyrenees? I don't even know where this is at, but it turned green, a fluorescent color, and they're saying that it's sparking alarm that it's been poisoned. They're running tests, but they're saying they've got video here at the link of the whole river turning green. But the fact that they're fearing that it's poison made me concerned. Like, okay, it's one thing, it could be an algae boom or things like that, but they're specifically saying poison. So figured I'd mention it, throw it out there. I don't know if you guys caught the video I put out on Dabu 777 here earlier. It was talking about some skulls that were found in China. They're saying that they were part modern human, part Neanderthal, whatever. They were trying to say it was a new species. And I talked about the timeline and how all these different species popped up over time from different parts of the world and just vanish. And then here we are today. They're still digging stuff up. We're trying to obviously piece together the mysteries of history here because we're lied to so much. But they made this statement, and it took me back to the Pleistocene epoch or era. This is kind of like the Jurassic era. Well, this Pleistocene era is very unique because at this moment in time, this is when they're saying here on this planet, this possible new species or this hybrid was here. They wore necklaces. Okay. They had funerals. They had a bit of an intelligence to them. And at that exact same time, right here where I sit in Kentucky during this Pleistocene era, it was underwater. And that's crazy. Right where I'm sitting was underwater. And if you go back on the property here, even up on the hillside where it's cut into, you can see the layers and it's crazy. You can see shells, coral, And it's like, what? The water was this high here? And it was. And that's crazy.
What was the date range of that?
Look up the Pleistocene. It's Pleistocene. And what I was looking back in time at the earth layers and geology of the country, and specifically Kentucky, and looking at the mineral deposits. And I was also looking at the glacial movement that came down out of Canada that busted up all the gold veins and had scattered all the different gold that you see across Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and even right into the northern tip of Kentucky. That I'm literally right on the boundary. I'm right where the glacier stopped, the very edge on the boundary. If you look at most of the maps where they run through a slice of northern Kentucky, that's right where I'd be sitting. And it's interesting because during that time when that ice came down, there was an ancient river system. It starts with a T, and it ran through Illinois, ran above Indianapolis, through the middle of Ohio, and then back down toward the bottom of Ohio. Well, because the ice set in, and there's maps you guys can go to and open in the description to see this, it blocked up the waterways, and therefore the Ohio formed. It wasn't fully connected in certain places, but it forced it to be what it is today because of that. And then ultimately, all that water was coming through there from the ice melt off. And when that happened, they're saying that this area in Kentucky looked, the most similar way to describe it is that it looked like the Bahamas. That's what they state. That's crazy to think. It's just absolutely crazy to think. So I was looking for dinosaur bones and everything else, like, because they're here, you can find them, but they say that this area is missing almost the whole Jurassic time frame. But yet you can go to a place over here in Boone County called Big Bone that is loaded with fossils of all kinds of dinosaurs. I mean, absolutely loaded. But when you go to the dinosaur maps and all this other stuff for Discovery, they won't have it listed. It's like, why not? And they want to say because it was washed in potentially. They don't, not without a doubt, they're saying potentially into this area. And they've made it one of those national or state park type of areas, like they always do. Anytime there's a big find of anything, they make it a state park. You can't dig, you can't do no research, you can't discover the truth. You see? But I find it interesting here in my own backyard, all these things with the history and the geology and how it's all comprised, that I sit right on the edge where that glacier came down. So I've been into looking for gold and researching for gold for a long time. It's something that's always interested me. I mean, that just the mystique of treasure hunting, I think it piques an interest in everyone. That's always kind of been in my blood, my dad's too. And for me, I've never really taken it to that level as far as here on this YouTube channel is going out on a hunt like that. Something serious, you know? I think that's in the works coming up. So do some unique things. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. Some adventures and journeys.
Hey, speaking of gold searching, have you been following the Oroville Dam situation?
Yeah, I put out a video on it here recently, and I've got a link in the description that was in there with it. You got something you want to say about that?
Well, there's there's a handful of pictures that have come out, and then there's a clip of video that came out. There was a helicopter that did a flyby the other day, and it's
there's drone footage,
all kinds of dredging equipment right in the middle of the lake. And granted, it can be easily written off by them as as some type of equipment to try to fix the current situation that they're in, and I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I'm sure that there's some of that equipment out there, But it's worth looking at some of these photos, and I'll send you some. I did a lot of screenshots out of that.
Oh, there's too many people pulling
footage.
out gold nuggets, man. There's multiple stories. You can just type it in.
Yeah.
I've covered just 2 of them. People are finding gold nuggets all over the place in the feather, the swollen contributaries downstream, and
yes, I haven't heard any of that yet.
Oh yeah, dude. There's all kinds of different stories about it happening. That's why I told Casey, I'm like, you need to at least check some of this stuff out. I mean, to me,
Casey blew my mind with that last week, man.
Well,
the original gold rush is right underneath of the lake.
Yeah, you want to update the folks on that a little bit? What you know about that?
Well, it's what Casey said last week. I mean, there's the original location of the big gold rush. I believe it was back in the 1800s.
It was Ophir. It was the city. It was named Ophir. I think it was named after the gold port of King Solomon.
There you go.
And
it's right where the Oroville Dam is.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's where the whole rush kind of kicked up right there, and then they dammed it all off. And there's also talk at this link here of the earthquakes connected to Oroville. And this is a new earthquake alert because what they're saying here is the quick release of water where it gets empty and then filling it back up real quick can cause an earthquake. And it's happened before. It's happened at this exact same dam in 1975, a 5.7 earthquake. I'm not sure many people even know that, but it happened because of this exact same scenario. So something to think about. If we start to see any other quake activity there. But
another thing to think about too is why would they build dams there in the first place? Why would you stop the movement of water the way that they did? There was no real reason on it, especially since people didn't live next to it to really need it. Those dams are there as a collection. They're there to collect the stuff that's heavier than the water. Just think about it. That's the whole purpose of those dams to begin with. It was easier to build the dam so it can mass collect than it is to have people out there sifting through it.
Well, it's crazy when you look at it, and it does look like a huge sluice box. It's crazy. I can't help but think, man, if they had matting on that, they'd be catching gold, period. They would.
They probably have been this entire time, but not many people have been looking into it.
In some of those images there, you can see there's a huge gravel pit that washed out in the bottom. There was fresh images from just the past couple days. A massive gravel pit, like a tailing trail. You can see how it cuts down the path, and you can also see how it cut out the whole side of the mountainside. So it chewed up a lot of earth, fresh earth, and sent it all downstream, depositing all that in different locations. That's why these people are showing nuggets off left and right. And
if I were them, I would not be showing my nuggets because you never know who might come knocking on your door for confiscation.
Absolutely. Don't show off the nuggets, Eric.
Out there, they're not confiscating their nuggets, but they're
no. But I just did a search.
You don't want thieves or anything. It wouldn't be too smart to ever give away.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm meaning, as in like people coming knocking your door, acting like they might be there for confiscation, but they're really there to steal your stuff.
I don't even think it matters at this point. I just did I'm looking now, and ABC has put out multiple reports today alone of what they're calling the new gold rush, specifically set up around Oroville. So there's,
they're all
it's
talking,
out there,
they're
man.
Talking like that now. We'll see. Then,
yeah, I mean, ABC here. Let me read you the headline. They put out 8 hours ago. This new gold rush. That was abc10.com. Damn gold. Damn gold ? Was KABC TV 2 hours ago. KRCRTV.com has a story about Paradise Prospectors at Oroville. I mean, it's going to take off, and half the country is going to be over there.
All I can say to that is they have to be very careful. For one, think about the fault lines in that area. Two, Think about when all of that stuff was going on with the gold rush. There was earthquakes, lots and lots of earthquakes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's not the only area. I mean, California in this area is gold rich, and obviously, to me, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what the history there. I mean, wherever there was gold in the past, it resurfaces, it replenishes in the cracks and the crevices over time. That's why you see people go back to some of the same spots after a few years, and you can even watch some of the videos on YouTube. Some of these guys out in the creeks dredging, and they'll hit them same veins and pockets that they know that they've been to before, because and some will create specific spots, their own little hot spots in creeks. They'll dam up certain areas just for that specific reason, to try to catch gold throughout time, come back a couple years, dredge out the creek, and find those pockets of placer gold. It depends on where you're at. In California, it's real rich in your really good gold. It's just known for that. Nevada, Arizona, they have it as well. Parts of Wyoming.
The thing that gets me with that
Oregon
particular spot though is right there on the fault line.
That is interesting too. You know, the whole thing with Orville is interesting. To me,
says dig for Bitcoin.
To me, Cali is something I've always wanted to cover. It's just always been just out of reach. It's such a far haul. I mean, you pull on them.
Yeah.
I mean, from where? I mean, yeah, it's just
expensive trip, man.
It's a far haul. I mean, I took a big one out there to Area 51, you know, in Nevada, and that was a hell of a unique experience. I loved it, but I'd love to do it again. But to be that close, and once in the past, I was out in Arizona working years ago, and I was that close, you know, to getting out to Cali, and I never did make it. Never did make it to the West Coast. So it's like I've got to get there at some point. And I never can, you know. I think I want to be able to get out there and report on this stuff and see some of the stuff that's out there at least once, you know.
Yeah, we need some West Coast connects.
Well, it was good that we came across Sean D on the ground down there. He really provided a good set of eyes and ears right there that was dedicated to when he got off work every day going up there, even to this day, still taking trips down to the Feather River and Sketchy Bridge, keeping an eye on it, you know, just letting people know what's going on, you know, and that's cool. You know, he created a little following that he streams to now. It was like the birth of a streamer there. And it's awesome.
It's true.
And, you know, Orville's not always going to be the big story every day, but, you know, you can depend on him. If something goes down there, Sean will be on it. And it's good to see people step up out of their neck of the woods and start to cover things like that, because that's what we need. It's all about growing. That's how we're all here together, you know. And you know, a few months back, Mike wasn't on the panel here with us, you know. Mike's part of the crew as far as I'm concerned. We run the streets together. You earn stripes, respect, and yeah, I'm always itching to get out there and do something. The biggest thing that I hate here has been the cold weather. You know, cold weather's been crappy.
I've got Florida on my mind, man.
You always do when it's cold out, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I like the thought.
I've got, as you guys seen in the headline here, I'll talk about this here real quick. Well, first off, before I get to this final piece, NASA, as I always say, use discernment. But this is not just so much NASA. This is the groups connected, all these subgroups that are in the space agency that have these workshops. They have one set up for 2050. And what they're saying is they plan to bring life to Mars by creating an atmosphere on Mars. And they're like, this is the stuff of science fiction that you see, but they're like seriously talking about this, and how they're talking about doing it is putting something out in space that's going to create a magnetic wave that will block the sun's radiation and keep it between the sun and Mars. And that will allow for Mars, it will block the solar wind stream that's coming through that ripped away what was left of an atmosphere there. And it will allow them to then be able to set up and stabilize an atmosphere. This is how they're talking on Mars. But to me, even in the ancient writings, when it comes to Mars, Mars had life. It's once again, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. There was oceans there. They've already told us this. Decades ago, it was always where you find water, you find life, period. And they come out and tell us we found ocean. There was oceans there. There was beaches. There was everything else. There could be water under the surface still. All this other talk and all these hints. To me, what happened with Mars matches what Thoth talked about. He said specifically in the Emerald Tablets, there's a battle that took place there. And to me, it looks like it's exactly what the hell happened. Something big time went down there. When I look through the images, I look through Curiosity images, I look through all the Mars rover pics all the time. And I used to put videos out on finding this crazy stuff, and I'm going to continue to do it. I've seen some I've got sitting here on deck that I need to cover and get out there, because some of the stuff that I see is like crazy. Like before in the past, I found a cave through these images with a stack of balls and a pyramid inside the cave. Then I found a crazy cube with numbers and writing on it, a perfect cube. And I'm not lying. I've got it in my videos, in my archive. It's sitting there. And videos like that, when I always go to put them out, they never get distributed, and all this other crazy stuff that goes along with the censorship. And not to mention there's a purge going on YouTube right now where every few hours I'm getting emails saying that your videos are not monetized, and by the dozens. And I know it's happening to all kinds of other people. There's something happened about a week ago with YouTube, like a reset. I don't know what happened, but we'll keep an eye on that to get more details to keep you guys posted. I'm not sure what happened, though. I don't want to speculate too much, but yeah, shout outs to everybody out there in the chat. I haven't had a chance to say much. I've been sitting here rambling about all the stories here. Much love to everybody out there.
Can I make
Everybody's
a quick
tuned in.
comment?
Yeah, go for it.
Very, very unrelated. It's nice when you make an order for something and you wait an hour and a half for it, never showed up, and then you call to ask about your order, and then they say that they canceled it, but never called you to tell you that they canceled it, but still take the money off of your card. That's
Oh,
nice.
One star on Google, baby.
Sure enough.
That's how you get right back at them.
I'm going to finish up here with this story. Well, this is the last story I got on deck here in terms of the puppet masters and the chaos that's going on. I find this interesting because Judicial Watch has put out a piece here saying, basically it's saying that this watchdog group on the U.S. government has issued a report outlining how the feds, and this is what everyone needs to pay attention to. This is the connection that everyone needs to make. You're wondering why George Soros isn't in jail. You're wondering why we can't get a warrant for him, this and that. You keep wondering why no one will stop this SOB. Let this be the writing on the wall. They're saying that the feds have been colluding with George Soros to use taxpayer money to destabilize. Let me finish. I'm not just talking about here in this country, to destabilize the democratic government of Macedonia, north of Greece, saying that this is solid, concrete proof that through his NGOs and through the funding that and that's a non-government organization is what an NGO is. He's setting up these non-government groups in all these countries, just like they did Ukraine. And just like in Ukraine, where the West and the United States backed them quietly with mercenaries and everything else, they overthrew it. Ran an elected government out of the country overnight. And now they're stirring it up in Macedonia, and they're screaming for their bloody lives over this stuff. And now we've got watchdog groups saying, well, the feds are working hand in hand with Soros. So my thing is this. If they're working hand in hand with Soros there, do you think they're going to do a damn thing about him meddling in this country? It seems like there seems to be a bigger deal on the table, don't you think? That's the people are not talking about. When you find a connection here that these feds are working with Soros, I don't give a damn where it's at, under what rock and what country. You better pay attention. It's my warning. And this is a huge connection. And I'm not sure it's going to go right over the heads of most people out there. But I hope most of you out there grasp it, that the alphabet gangs are working with Soros. And now they're putting the proof right out there, concrete. They're doing it in other countries, trying to overthrow other governments. We already know this is what they both do. And now it looks like, through the paper trail and the connections, that this is what, and he was using taxpayer money to do this in Macedonia. This is why the people there are pissed. Wasn't even using his own. How bad he manipulated the system. So I think that that's key in understanding how this whole thing is going down. Because people all the time keep saying, how come we cannot get this man in jail? How can he openly cause chaos in this country and fund the chaos in the streets? How can he openly do it? Well, here you go. The writing's on the wall. And they go on to report here that it says because the State Department figures have been more difficult to obtain, Judicial Watch has filed a Freedom of Information request form, which goes through that secret government group I've talked about before. But they go on to state here that, try to find it here real quick, lengthy read. And I suggest you guys read into this full article that I have here to get all the details, see it clearly. It says that there's a person in power right now, I don't know what position, that Trump has not replaced. And that person is allowing all of this to happen. Trying to skim over this to find the name in the position here. But there's been all these people replaced but in this Trump administration, but some people in different positions, like, you know, different senators and governors from states are elected by the people. They're not replaced when Trump comes in. But some of these people were in the same position. It says they charge that it is an interference of the U.S. ambassador in domestic political affairs in violation of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. He goes on talking in detail there, but the main point of this here that I wanted, and listen to this. I've got to add this in here. I'm going to read from this. Listen closely. Here's how this clandestine operation functions. According to high-level sources in Macedonia and the U.S. that have provided Judicial Watch with records as part of this ongoing investigation, this Open Society Foundation, which is ran by George Soros, has established and funded dozens of left-wing NGOs, non-governmental organizations, in Macedonia to overthrow the conservative government. One of the government officials there that was interviewed by Judicial Watch says that this is the Soros infantry. This is the same Soros infantry he's talking about that swept through all of Europe, that Soros put $500 million on. This is a damn army in operation here, folks. You're wondering where World War III is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening right now. It's not going to happen like they're trying to storybook script it between two monsters. It's happening right now across the globe. The beast that they created, they funded with these militant groups in Iraq, Syria, all these other places. It's a stage. I'm trying to tell you all this forever. And now this is just bringing it back full circle when people can see that now the Soros and the feds are connected. But check this out. It says that they hand out a publication, Soros groups do. It's a publication of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. This book is a tactical manual for subversion. It provides direct advice for radical street protesting and proclaims that Lucifer was the very first radical. Can you believe this? I tell you all the time, I brought it full circle with these fallen ones and their king Lucifer. And here they are openly in the streets calling for it again. And this is in the handbooks being dealt out by George Soros. This is real. Like I said, because it comes so hard hitting sometimes, it's going to go over the heads of some people. I'm telling you that this is, and you wonder how they can worship this stuff. They're taught this stuff. It's put in manuals. And it looks like Into the Stars is crept in. What are you doing, brother?
What's up, Casey?
There's gold in them there hills.
Oh, in them there hills.
Wondering what happened to you, man. What's going on?
I got stuck up at the dam, at Party Dam. They supposedly stocked this lake with all these trout, and I didn't catch one trout. So I'm back.
Right on. Well, so she didn't catch anything, but
yeah. So what's going on? You guys are talking about George Soros and all this.
yeah, I mean, I find that this stuff with Soros connected to the feds, I mean, and all this stuff, I mean, it's right there. Everything we've been saying this whole time, man.
What do you think Trump's going to do about it?
I'm still wondering where everyone's at that was screaming Hillary for prison.
Yeah.
Well, Dabu, you said it was what, dozens of organizations in Macedonia. Is that what you said?
He's got all these, they're non-governmental organizations, and they're not just set up in Macedonia. They're all over the place.
So I was going to say, didn't they out like 50 plus organizations that were going to be down in Washington during the inauguration that had direct ties to his organizations as well? So I mean, and that's like, 3, 4, 5 dozen. I think it was like, in the 50s somewhere they were able to narrow it down to. So it's happening here. And these are the organizations that we're seeing, like with what happened in Berkeley.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Every time we cover this and we find the paper trail leading back to George Soros in Berkeley, we did the same thing. Found the paper trail from George Soros. He funded the groups connected right there. It happened. He did it. It's what he's doing. He's funding troops here in this country using your own people and illegals that he wants to get in, because as you can see, his whole army he's using in Europe is nothing but illegals that he's sending into all these countries. And it's an invasion. And for people asking, how can the leaders of Germany and France just let this happen? It's because they're in on it. This is a world stage, ladies and gentlemen. If there's anything, if you want to wake up to see what's really going on here, this is a world stage, and they play this thing out. And they care not about the people. They sell their people out. If there's a leader in a country that's not willing to do that, they kill him like they did Gaddafi. So appreciate that. Get national.
Yeah, there's definitely some selling out going on here on YouTube as well.
I mentioned it earlier with the censorship. Talk about it.
Yeah, they ratcheted up this censorship thing going on. And basically what they're doing is defunding all of the most viral videos on all of our YouTube channels. What happens is this yellow $sign appears, and they deem that video inappropriate for advertising. While they go out and they can advertise whatever they want, and they can, talk about whatever subject matter they want and show graphic stuff on TV, and they're fully funded and advertised. And so this is a form of censorship. It needs to stop. I basically took this up the ranks with my network that I'm in, and they're monitoring it. And I said, at the least, I have the right to face my accuser. Whoever's flagging my videos is inappropriate. I need to be able to face my accuser.
Fucking bullshit. Excuse my French. Fucking scam networks.
Casey, is there any kind of an official list as to reasons that they're flagging videos for, kind of like a terms of like a terms agreement when you sign up for a new service or something?
Yeah, I guess all of us signed an agreement when we came on to YouTube, and they have the right. It's like having the right.
You got fucking lied to. We all got lied to.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but
he's like, hell yeah. No, I'm serious about the network. We got specifically lied to, and almost everyone that I know is getting lied to and baited into a network by being told you're going to make a better cut. We'll give you 90%. What they'll tell people, but what they're not telling you until you get wheeled in is that that's 90% of the only 70% that's coming from Google. So you're getting paid less.
Exactly.
And that's the scam. And then they say, oh, no, well, we can get you deals and sponsors. Well, we don't want none of this crap that you're pushing. You're of no use. Well, some people use the sponsorship, and I understand that. I even tried to use it. But some of these guys out here, you can't survive with them because they're snakes. I can't work for no one that's not trustworthy and righteous, that doesn't give back to the game. When these dudes are out here raping money off of all these products and they don't care about nothing, they don't care about nobody. They're living in mansions, pulling off Ty Lopez type crap, and they're the money men sitting behind the scenes, controlling these shills on these channels that all push the same products, okay? They're sitting back getting rich, and the problem's this is what upsets me. It's because that individual, those individuals have give these YouTubers the mentality that it is okay to sell out, that it's okay to say this. It's okay to do all this. It's okay to put a link in of every single thing that you're selling on everything. And they're saying that because they're getting a piece of that pie. You see? So of course they're going to say it's okay. So they're telling them it's going to be beautiful. Just keep posting this stuff all over the place, because the more they sell, the more money that cat and the rest sit back in the shade and stack. And they hide in the shadows. Their name's never put out there, their image, nothing. They're the ones running these networks, and they're putting that mentality that it's money first over the truth. And that's bullshit.
And it happens across all industries too. It's not just the media industry. You'd think back in the day in the 50s when the vacuum cleaners came out, the vacuum cleaner salesmen were making a ton of money, right? You'd think these days it would be the mobile technology field where people are doing good, but they're cutting everything at every corner, man. Everything at every corner.
We'll speak about that in the super chat. I want to give a shout out to the cats. Mr. Anderson, I can't see the names of the others that have hit the super chat there. They take
getnationalsolar.com.
They take 70% of that. Just want everyone to know they take 70% of that. And
the super chat?
Yeah. So read the terms and conditions.
Yep.
I just want people to know where it sits there. They're always going to take their piece of the pie to their platform in providing, but I want people to know where it's going, where it sits. There's definitely a purge going on. It doesn't help when you got puppet masters sitting in the wings back here controlling these so-called news channels, and they call themselves news channels, but I've never seen them get off their ass one time and take it to the streets. Never. See them sit there in front of the camera getting all pretty, sitting in a suit and tie, trying to look like mainstream. Ain't never seen them in the fucking street once.
And you never will.
And you never will. They're petty. They're fakes. They're fluffs. And many of them rode the coattails of Trump this whole time, taking in all kinds of views, all kinds of subs, and now many of them are the bottom's starting to fall out, and many of them admit it and having to reach in the other directions. Some of these channels came up like Right Side strictly on the coattails of Trump, and now trying to branch out and do all this stuff. And I find it crazy that someone that claims it came from a basement is getting into all these big places and government behind the scenes stuff when we've been at this for years and we can't never get those credentials. Who you sucking? You ain't fooling me, son. None of you are. I see you. I see you clearly. I see the scheme. I see the news duds. I see that they set up Kickstarters to make you think that people are donating, but really very minimal are. Of course, they're going to take all your money that you give, but they're being funded by a government entity. This is why thousands of dollars rain down on them. This is why we can run a Kickstarter campaign and can't hit $10,000. They've ran several and made $150,000 every time. What do they do? Where have you seen them in the street reporting? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's crazy, but yet I guarantee you this. Here in the next month, they'll do it again for $150,000 and they'll hit that goal. And what will they do? Put out 20 videos a month and never see a damn one of them in the street? Never doing a damn thing? Are you kidding me?
It's there's a method to their madness. There's a method to it. Yep. drop 10 grand of your own money with a 10 grand limit and run another one for 50, and everybody sees that somebody, you filled up the first one, even if it was your own money.
How we busted it is they were short like 50,000 in the end. And what had happened is we were keeping track of the donors because it's publicly put out there. And if you're smart and you have eyes, you can catch this stuff. We were watching in real time. We were watching the number of $100 donors, 500, 1,000, 1,000, 2,500. And when people donate, those numbers go up. It'll show you. And yeah, I'm a little angry because I think you all should be. I'm telling you about the rats in the game here that are lying to everyone around you. You wonder why people are running around. Am I jealous? Why would I be jealous of frauds? I'm passionate. When I see rats in the game, it does kind of excite me. I'm getting into roast mode. I got to call it out. I owe it to all of you. You tune into my channel. Why? To get the fucking truth, right? I'm sorry. I'm only human. And if you can't accept that about me, unsubscribe from my channel. Okay? We fight a long, hard fight. I don't need people nitpicking me about, you don't call it tomato, it's tomato. It's Nevada, not Nevada. Okay? Being grammar Nazis with all the other stuff going on out here. We're exposing all the time the most corrupt people in the world. I just told you tonight, brought it full circle. George Soros and the feds working together. Is any of your mainstream talking about that? How about any of these other alternative channels? I think most of you come to my channel, you already know. All right. See you, Terry and BC. I'm glad you unsubbed. Take everyone that's with you, and don't come back until you're ready. And I'm not going to say don't ever come back because I know there's a process to it. There is a process. When people can't accept the truth, they violently lash out at it. And if you want the truth, then go seek the truth. If you want entertainment, go seek entertainment. But don't confuse the two. Because I think a lot of people out here are surfing around on YouTube for videos, for entertainment, and they're catching these alternative fluff channels and they're absorbing that as being their news and their information. And it's a bunch of BS.
And we don't hate on that. I fell victim to it too. It took a combination of Dabu and Alex Jones and a few other big names to actually wake me up, like, a handful of years ago. And then I kind of migrated, and that's the standard progression for anybody who's starting to learn about the way things are. But if you're a righteous person, you're going to learn who the righteous people are based on the information that they put out. The fact that Dabu told everybody in this chat right now that 70% of what you guys are donating goes right to YouTube should be proof enough for everybody in this chat that the people that are on this panel right now are righteous with what we believe and what we do. That's why we pick up our cameras. That's why we spend our money. And that's why we put ourselves in situations where we have flashbangs bouncing off of our faces. Okay. Like that's why we do it. It's to try to get out the truth when other people won't.
Thank you, USN. And you're damn right, Mike. It's good. You said it well. It's, it runs in the blood of some of us. I mean, it's just what we do. I want to know the truth. When I find crazy stuff, I think that you want to know too. So I'm going to tell you instead of sitting here, keep my mouth shut. I'm going to tell you. You see, sometimes people just can't handle that. But
and you notice how they go right for where they think it's going to hurt first. They go right for the wallet. That's where they try to plug people, because the people that are going to have the biggest problem with that are the people that are going to drop off of YouTube faster than anybody else and go find another platform to push their agenda. The people that stick around when they know these facts, that they're not getting any of the semi little bit of compensation that they would hope to get or aspire to get. They'll be the first people to pack their bags and run.
And look,
I'm
not against anyone out there that joins a network that is trying to make their channel better or things like that. I'm not against anyone out there that is aspiring to do anything good. Okay. But what I see too much of is people take and not give back. When I know that the team built around me right now, it's full of a bunch of people that will give the shirt off their back. And that's priceless. All these guys and gals have each other's backs. That's priceless. See, if I seen that in other channels out here, then they're righteous. Then they're good at heart. Then that's fine. You know, but when I see it going the other way, I almost feel like it's my responsibility out here, because I almost feel if I don't call them out and put them out here on the burner, no one's going to do it. So I got to throw it out there and let it be known. This is how it's set up. This is the system. This is the game. This is how it's ran. These are the puppet masters pulling strings. This is why most of these guys are in it doing what they're doing. It's the fact they don't give back. When I see people that have way less, that they give the shirt off their back and they've got a shit ton of money and they don't give nothing to help, it bothers me. It does. You know, the Robin Hood in me wants to take Soros, break his bank account, and break bread with all of you. And just tell you the one thing is you better defend me and your people in the streets. It's simple as that. You have to have each other's backs. There has to be a moment where something shifts. I tell you right now, people are living in la la land. People are living with blind faith and paid off leaders. And until people break away from that and see this game that you're living in, you ain't never going to stop this beast. Until, I said it before, you got to have a horse in the race. Next election, you better have that stage filled with blue collar people like me and you, not Oprah Winfrey. You dig? Because they're already setting the stage. They're choosing for you. Same billionaires elite class. Well, 4 years out. Is anyone going to step up and say, hell no, sit down, bitch. You ain't doing shit. You and your atrocities. All the scandal you're connected to. Hell no. You ain't doing nothing. Matter of fact, you're coming with me. You're coming to court. That's what should happen. A new sheriff in town. When a true new sheriff comes to town. That's when Clintons are in jail right now. And the big story across the mainstream media first day we took office is they're in jail. Let that be the headlines every day for a week. But you won't see that. Zach, if you're bored, bounce, son. I'm not the most exciting person, I guess. We're not going to please everybody. I know there's people out there see people. Everyone's got an opinion. You don't like me, I don't know why you're here. If you want to run your mouth, you're going to get blocked and banned. I got to give a shout out to everybody that shows me love there too. I see you. Haven't had a chance to talk back to the chat much tonight. I see you guys. And I got to find a way to get this where you guys can see this on the screen, the chat, like afterwards or something. I seen B did it. Eric, now that you're back, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, we got you. He wants to be able to show.
But do I have to use XSplit to do that? Can I just do it normal through Hangouts and get the pop up?
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I'm trying to get the pop out chat to show in the video. That way, when it's done and it processes and people are watching this afterwards and they're wanting to know what everyone said in the chat that we're responding to, that they could see it.
Yeah, it's XSplit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, got an answer.
Yeah.
Casey, you got anything you want to drop? Any bombs? Are you just I know you're still trying to get acclimated.
I hope you mean figuratively.
Yeah. I don't nobody take that literal.
That's all good. Any bomb Casey drops is going to be filled with trout, and I'm all about it, bro.
I told him earlier, man. He's up there. He's up there throwing a pole, and he might as well take a bucket and a shovel and pan him some gold. They're in gold country. They're on the river.
Watch how fast they drop the price of gold if a genuine gold rush does start to take off. wait to see
Yeah,
what
well,
happens.
you know, the way that it all happened, a big chunk sitting right there at that basin where they had cordoned off. A lot, I mean, trust me, a lot of stuff went downstream, but that gravel down there, I'm telling you, that gravel pit underneath of that, they're not just going to haul it off and dump all that. All that will be hauled off and sifted through. They'd be complete idiots not to do it. I would love to know, actually, love to see a list of the companies right now bidding or that got awarded the contracts to get in there and clean that up.
Yeah, wait and see how many government fences go up around that.
Well, I'm serious, because I would love to see the process of who gets it, where they're taking it, what they're doing with it. Because I guarantee you, if they want to be the fools to just go and dump it somewhere, I guarantee you someone will come along and be like, "No, we'll take it, and
Yeah,
we'll clean it." I mean,
yeah, that's not going to happen.
yeah, there's no way.
There's no
way. There's no way. So that's very interesting.
There's no way.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to USN again there in the chat, man. Just dropped 100 there, man. That's
Very
unbelievable.
nice.
I've never seen that. It's the
Very
biggest
nice.
one I've ever seen. It's crazy. Appreciate that, man. Everybody, I see some other ones pop up in there.
Aligners 222. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for any of the names that I missed there. I try to catch
And
them,
I'm
but
trying to find who's the other one.
yeah.
I'll make sure I shout them out too. There they are. That's Gray Ghost.
I don't know what happened to Casey there. LNRs, much love.
Patrick Hillard.
Maybe Casey can
And,
get back in here with us here in a moment.
Yeah, getnationalsolar.com. You know, they've been helping out in this.
That's key.
A couple times.
And I like this. I like, speaking of solar, I mean, you guys definitely check them out there. But solar is something that I switched up to here recently, myself, going with that solar generator. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't expect. I guess you never do. They didn't expect for when the lights went out. I guess that's sometimes the best test. And it tested me, and I got to find holes in my game. And
dude, you've been saying it for months now. You've been talking about doing a weekend where you just shut everything off in your house and you do it. And you not only got to do it, you got to do it unexpected, and you got to do it, you know, in a live real scenario. I mean,
there's downfalls.
As good of a test as you can get.
Right. I mean,
in a real situation, the hotel's not going to be open down the street. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, it gave you an opportunity to test out the network, test out the generator, see what happens when your laptop's hooked up to the generator and you're going off of a hotspot versus your home Wi-Fi. I mean, it's a whole different setup that needs to be planned for in advance. If it wasn't planned for, you never would have been able to get that periscope out. You never would have been able to update the people that were looking out for you. I don't even get cell phone
reception here. It's like, you know,
and that's key. That's key to everybody that follows you, that knew that you put a periscope out that day, that sent you private messages to check and see if you were okay. That, you know, it's key to keeping in touch when we deal with communication and technology. It's essential to have that backup plan in place. Something may never happen. I hope nothing ever happens. I hope we all get to move on to the next life and not have to face any terrible disasters. But look at the truth and look at what's going on around us, and just know that it's better to be prepared than it is to not have a plan.
That's right. You got to have a plan. I say it all the time. No matter if you're an earthquake country, have a plan for it. I mean, have an all around plan. I always say if you can prepare for a lights out situation, then you're doing good. What's up, Ryan? What's up, everybody out there? Mr. Anderson
in the chat.
222. Everybody out there, yeah. B, what's up? Everybody out there, much love. I you know, with the lights going out on me, you know, I had to break down, throw about a G on the credit card to do what I had to do in terms of getting a generator, a big dog gas generator, something I was lacking. It wasn't something I was planning on going out and doing. I had to do it in that position, and I was able to pull it off. And when I did it, I got to go through the routine, and I got to see, okay, I had several gas cans, but you know, I fill it up and it runs, but then once you fill it up, but then you're out, but then you have to make another trip to fill it back up. Or you had to have another gas can, you have to prepare next time around. All these little things. And when you're running off gas, gas is the heart of your operation there. You better have plenty of it. You see, you have to think about these things. And I was running from that to, I was running a line off of the 5,500 watt. I had two 120 ports. Those two 120 ports came down to a 4-way outlet. And out of that outlet, I ran one directly to the fridge, one to a heater, and one to like the burner and stuff like that. I was going to run another one down to the water pump, but I found out the hard way that I couldn't do that. It was something I'm going to have to adjust to and fix along the way. And these are things people need to figure out there. You think about this stuff, go check these things. Thank you, Romans. Appreciate it. There's B just jumped in there too. But I ran the fourth line eventually to the solar generator because I didn't have sunlight. I was still charging it. And out of the solar generator, I was running the laptops, lights, all the lighter stuff. I was doing a lot of testing, plugging stuff in, seeing what took a lot, what didn't. And I got it to where I was only pulling out 50, but it's still bringing in like 60 or 70. It was able to keep a charge on the generator and supply energy to all the rest, and then have the big stuff that pulls a lot of energy pulling off of the big generator, straight line. So that's how I had to do it. Ended up, once I had everything set up, it worked. It did the job.
And I see some people in the chat asking what happens when the Wi-Fi goes down. I mean, prepare for that. You know, we've been talking about ham radios and things like that. Like, you know, stuff that charges on battery that connects via a signal that you're putting out from your device versus relying on a tower and a network. You know, every town somewhere, whether it's your fire station, you know, somewhere has a tower that shoots 20, 30, 40 feet up in the air. Find that tower. Figure out where it is. Where's the room where the radio is that's plugged into that tower? Now, you may not have access now, but if you ever need to get to a radio and you know where that room is or that building is, that gives you a place that you know you can bust a door down and get in there and get to a radio that's going to be able to communicate with people that's far enough away. Look,
you know, when you say that, first thing I thought it was the airport tower.
Yeah, well, yeah, that might be a little harder to bust into, but you know, as far as something local,
it would have. But I mean, in a chaotic situation and madness,
it would have what you need. Yeah,
I mean, if the airport was ghost town, and yeah, I mean, it has all the comms.
Yeah, when we send our military overseas, we're not relying on cellular communications between our soldiers. Okay, we're relying on radio communication, and that goes as far back as since radio started. You know, we're flying drones around and stuff like that, but that's all based on local signal from the device that they're controlling it with to that drone. They're not relying on a tower somewhere to supply those soldiers with communication abilities. And we need to take the same stance where we live with the people that we care about.
Thank you, Miss JJ. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, people don't think about it in that aspect. What's up, B?
What up, man? How you guys doing?
Well,
I've been listening to the whole show. I wasn't able to get. I'm sneaking on the. I've been doing work around the house. That was like my job for the whole weekend is get some shit done around here so we can sell the house. And
I seen you had that sink put in.
Yeah, I did the sink, and I had to finish the trim from when I did the floors, and crap, I was going to put some shelving upstairs, but then we didn't like the shelves that we were putting up in the laundry room, so we called it a night, went and got some dinner. Now we're going to watch some movies here in a little bit and just chill out.
Right on.
Just chill out. But I figured I'd jump in and say what's up. But you guys were talking about the talking about like communications and stuff and the Wi-Fi. You know, all that stuff has independent power that runs through the wires. Telephones, old school telephones. I think it's one of the biggest. The most important things to have in your kits at your house is an old telephone, not the kind that needs power, not a cordless, just the one that you can just plug right in, because you can get up on a tower and plug that bad boy in right outside your house, even if you don't have service to your house. All you have to do is climb the pole, plug the fucker in. It's like, I mean, if you're on grid down, ain't nobody gonna be checking.
You got a box outside of your house. Most people do. There's a box that you could take one of those phones and you could plug it right into. On the outside of the house, have a phone outside.
Right. But yeah, that and same with the internet. If you have cable internet or any of that internet that's on wire, I mean, you're gold. All you got to do is put some electric to it.
Damn,
you know what I'm
Patrick.
saying?
Thank you.
But and even at that, I was going to tell you, if you next time you have this, if you do have this problem, man, you could plug that generator directly into your house. Everything in your house runs off of the same power, basically, the 110. You know what I'm saying? You go to your breaker box, shut off the main so it doesn't leave the house.
Well, I'm gonna look into
shut
that
off
for
everything
myself.
220.
I'm gonna do just that.
Yeah.
What you said. I'm gonna look to have a professional tie-in. I'm gonna have somebody come out. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm having a professional come out. I ain't fucking nothing up, not doing it where I don't know.
And listen,
I have a double mail end.
Yeah, I'm on the
right
budget prepper situation, and I'm going to be getting a generator. But if I find myself in a situation where I'm on the move and I don't have a generator, it took not a lot for me to learn how to piggyback car batteries together and run an alternator to it to provide continuous power to those batteries. So, all of that information is available online. You put in a search for battery piggybacking generator, into YouTube PDF, and you'll find something, or on YouTube somebody's done it. But I mean, you can go, once you can't run a car anymore because there's no more gas, there's going to be a plethora of batteries just floating around that you might have access to, and you can generate power, continuous power, off of that, off of solar, off of a generator, off of all that stuff. So there are alternative methods aside from generators as well, and it's good to know that how to do that. And it's easy to do.
And shout out to Miss JJ again. Yeah, you definitely have got to have a combo. I talked about that before. Wind, water, rain. If you can utilize all those in one package on your property for your house, it helps make you less dependent on the grid. That's how they like everybody. Like them dependent on the grid, but they got control. And what the hell is that in your image there, B?
I'm always goofing with stuff, man.
I look down like, what is this?
Yes,
Old Spice dude.
It's the Old Spice dude.
Yeah. Where's Poot, or where's Jean-Claude, man? Him and Joker were dancing it up last time. Okay.
Yeah, well, Jean-Claude and Putin, they're all tired. They've been dancing for a while.
They were installing the bathtub in the bathroom today, so they're wiped.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
For those that were expecting me for any coverage for tomorrow for that March for Trump in Cleveland, just to give you guys a last minute heads up, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I just got called into work, so it'll be a very close call tomorrow morning to do so.
Well, thanks for saying that.
One of us will be there.
No, B probably be there. There's links in the description box, like I always say, guys. And I didn't say it earlier, but March for Trump thing is popping off tomorrow in multiple cities across the country. And there's also anti-Trump groups looking to counter them in certain cities. DC is going to be popping off, you can imagine. It's always got protests going on up there. But other cities, like you say, Cleveland, I know places in California, Texas, going to see some action. But there's nothing going on that I see in Cincinnati. I looked, and sometimes it's hit or miss there. Sometimes it pops off, sometimes it's nothing.
I'll be up there. So
what time are you going to be in position?
It's 12:30 to 1:15 is the scheduled march at Voinovich Park. So I'll be there for whenever it starts. So half hour early or whatnot while people are showing up. There's only about 100 people that said that they were going, but about 200 said they were interested. So
what?
Carl, you just topped. Oh my gosh, man, this is crazy.
That's the biggest
shout
one
out.
I've seen.
That's just crazy, man. He wants to talk about some ancient history. I'm going to do that. Casey, we got Casey here on deck. He's been silent.
I'm going to jump off here, guys. Peace out.
Do your thing. Much love.
Have a good night, brother. Be safe tomorrow.
Everybody check him out. Be Rich on his channel. He's going to be live, like you said there, or he'll be up there covering the action in Cleveland from the streets. So
that's right. Peace out.
Check him out, y'all. All right. Much love, B.
Later.
So not sure what's happened with Casey here. I tell you what, I need to step away for just a second. If one of you guys want to grab the reins here, I have to step away for about 2 minutes, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to carry. We're going a little longer than usual here, and I need to refill a drink and do all that good stuff. We're going to peel into another chunk of talk here. So, I'll be right back in just a second. So hopefully you guys can
right on, man.
cover. All right,
we're good. What you got going on, Eric?
Hold on. Unless you want to hear me walking down steps.
Oh, bad mercy.
No. So pretty much.
Right on.
I just got the call from work. I gotta head in for a couple hours. So yeah, that was very unexpected. Just got it like 20 minutes ago.
All right. Well, did you hear anything about is anything going on in Philadelphia tomorrow?
No, there is no March for Trump tomorrow. You should already know. Philly is too liberal.
Yeah, I've been trying to look. I just haven't had a chance to look today. So
We still live, guys?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, Casey?
What's up?
Don't tell
So
me you
Dabu
dozed
bounced
off.
off for a minute. Went to go grab a drink or something. We wanted to call on you. There was a few people who helped out quite a bit in the super chat, and we had one guy put up 150, and he had a question about talking about some the ancient some kind of ancient history. Wanted to hear something about anything really. He wasn't specific about what he wanted to talk about. So do you have anything you can touch on with that?
What was he talking about?
So he was asking if let's see, let's hear some ancient history was what he put into the comment on the super chat donation. So
wow, that's a broad subject. I guess we could start with corroborating some biblical history to what is actually going on today. And a lot of people don't understand some of the stuff that as it relates to like some of these subjects of like child sacrifice and pedophilia. Like all of this stuff relates back to some of the biblical history. Now I know that there's other historical texts. There's
sure,
also
like Sodom and Gomorrah, and
Baal worship. We see the Arch of Baal everywhere now. They're bringing it back.
I thought you fell asleep on us.
Yeah, I had to get some food. I was out all day, and I'm back.
Oh, you didn't catch the food, so you had to.
I had to create it.
Right. All right. Well, I'm glad you're back, man. Hell yeah. So you were just talking about Baal.
Yeah, we're talking about Baal. We're talking about basically tying in the biblical text and the extra biblical text to what's actually going on in the surrounding the elite's activities and what's important to them. And like a lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, what's up with this arch? And what's up with this this whole thing with pedophilia and all this stuff? And like, why are these people so fascinated with it? And it's because this all goes back to the Bible. And it actually corroborates the Bible. These are bloodlines that have, since the beginning of time, who are practicing this stuff, handing it down generation to generation. And the only way it's stopped.
And it's not just the Bible. It's all kinds of ancient texts, like the Solomon stuff, all the stuff they left out of the Bible,
Exactly. All the stuff that was found with the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the greatest discoveries ever in 1947 in these caves. They found a complete set of ancient copies of the Bible. These were like from BC, like the Old Testament copies were from before the time of Christ, and we had not had those to this point. But what they don't tell you is that also the Testament of Solomon was found with that. They don't tell you the Book of Enoch was found in those caves as well.
Exactly.
With the complete Bible. So why wasn't our current Bible revised to reflect the true canon?
That was the Council of Nicaea that made that decision.
Exactly, which is the Catholic Church, the beginnings of the Catholic Church.
Jesuit Vatican control.
The Vatican. Yep, absolutely.
They never updated the Bible because they basically framed the Bible the way they wanted it to come across. They basically put all of the stories, many of the stories that don't really mean anything. I mean, they mean something, obviously. It's the Bible, it's the holy word of God, but without the other pieces to the puzzle, without the what was that movie from the 1980s, Raiders of the Lost Ark? Without all the pieces of the puzzle, we can't see the whole picture. And the whole picture is everything you and I have been talking about, these bloodlines.
Yeah, if for those just tuning in, this is where we're taking this discussion here for this next bit. We're going to talk about the ancient history and all that here and tap in all that. It's important that people know that. I mean, I think what you found there with the Vesica Pisces there on top of Mount Hermon and all the information that's been coming in with Mount Hermon is game changing. And guys, I haven't had a chance to do the video, but I got this one individual that sends me this information. He must sit there on Google Earth and map this stuff out. I mean, all over the place and get these measurements from point to point. And what he brought to me, I can't say it surprised me because of everything we found thus far, but the numbers just jumped out at me. He took like the 7 highest summits on the planet. Mount Everest was in there, some others. And the measurements, all from Mount Hermon, were crazy. They come out like 3333 or 50505050, or all of them were like that. For an example, there was something there. There's no way that it was. I don't believe in coincidence. And with everything else that we've seen tied into this, it was almost like something was there. Something more is there. And like you were saying, Casey, with all the missing stuff, the one complete part that they put in there, what they say, is the Torah. But you have to look at the ancient Hebrew Torah, which was written in reverse, to understand that. If you ever heard of the Bible code, what they do is they have a computer program that goes through and it squeezes it. It takes out all the spaces. And if you're missing just one letter, it does not work. So from the very first Hebrew letter to the very last in that Torah, when they put that into the code, they get all these names that come across in alignments. This is what makes the Bible code, where they can find all these references that cross each other. But the Torah was the only piece that they could use. And it took computers to be able to unlock it, to be able to figure that out, this age and time, to finally do that. And it's interesting because they pick apart the parts of the Torah, but the other parts weren't connected to that, these other stories. So they were kind of filled in. But like Casey said, they left out the book, what was it, of Mary.
Judah, the Gospel of Mary and
Enoch,
yep.
all of them. I mean, we go on and on and on. The Testament
D,
of
can I ask you a
Solomon.
question real quick?
Yeah.
So if it took a computer to decipher that now, because we can, then how, in your opinion, how was it put together without a computer? Or do you think that there may have been a computer at play when they put it together?
When you ask me what I've seen here, I have seen helicopters on pyramid walls. I have seen and read through the ancient text how this whole place was set up on a natural system through the emerald tablets, through Thoth. He explained it. The whole grid line, ley line system. I mean, I believe the pyramids, and even they state when plated with the right stuff, will conduct power. I believe this whole thing was set up different. There's no way that we can have the inscription, in my mind, of choppers, boats, and other things inside these pyramids if it didn't
airplanes
happen.
in South America, Aztec culture, there's airplanes everywhere,
and
dimensionally correct,
disc-shaped craft that would match your UFO.
Think about it like this too. Have you ever heard the saying that if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it?
Good point. Thank you, Deborah. That's a very good point.
Yep.
And I think it holds very true. And I think that's why they try to keep us in the dark so much. We've dug back deep. I mean, all the way, through different paths in time, through different ancient civilizations, different stories. There's all kinds of crazy things. Look at the ancient, I can never say it the Kabarahabata, or whatever it is, the Indian text that tells about how there was ancient war in heaven where they used weapons. And this is documented. They have it all written down where they used these super weapons. They fried cities. And they, even when you go to those cities, they were turned to glass. Okay. Mohenjo-Daro in Pakistan. Same thing. Desert turned to glass, like a nuke was dropped there.
And there's actually a real life Star Wars in the Bible. The stars fought in their courses at Sisera, it says in the Bible. Real Star Wars were happening.
And Thoth said it too. He said the battle happened in Mars. And he said that these entities came here, these male dominant, smaller entities that at first didn't cause problems. This is when Atlantis was still operational. And then after they came, the destruction came. And it offset the energy balance is kind of what I seen in the end. And, you know, those stories are unique because you hear about the story of Osiris. And I've said this before, and for those that don't know, ISIS, you hear the name, they repeat here. Everyone hears ISIS these days. You think of the terrorist group. But when it goes back to the root of the mother Isis, the mother of Horus, her and Osiris were together. And Osiris was the king of light and of the day. And his brother, his other half, Set, was the god of the underworld and darkness. He chops him up. He kills him. He kills Osiris. Set does. And Isis cannot find the phallus. She finds all the body pieces but the phallus, so she makes a golden phallus. To me, she extracted the DNA. She is impregnated. She has a son named Horus. But what was different about this is Thoth wrote that he had witnessed, because he watched the sun rise in the east, the west, the east again. He watched the pole shifts. He was here during this time. He watched the sun rise from different directions. You're talking of people that lived thousands of years. I mean, just look at some of your biblical characters that lived thousands of years. So when he's explaining this, he says that throughout this process of living for thousands of years, Osiris finally peeked in to Christ consciousness, to this 4D, to this knowing of love and of the God spirit and a respect of nature and of things. And this is where the whole Set thing came in. That's right when Set chopped him up and did this. And then when Isis brings Horus back in, this is the process that they call the Father becomes the Son. And this is what they teach in their Masonic ranks, the secret societies, in how the spirit is brought back in. Now, when Horus was born, Horus wasn't born with a fresh soul that came in on a fresh slate. He was Osiris. He was Osiris with all of his memory and with everything. Thank you, Sober. So this is the thing to understand here. She, in this technique and in this story, they're explaining to you that she was able to bring Osiris's spirit force. And this is what you need to see that's not told. You need to see beyond it. There is a spirit force that inhibits all, and then it animates everything from us to butterflies. And this, I think, ties right into the Ajiji. When we talk, it goes right back to Nimrod, the Tower of Babel. The Gigi were a spirit force that asked Nimrod, make us bodies so we can live within it. You see? And what Set did is he attacked Horus and ripped his eye out. And then you have the mockery of the eye and all that stuff. He ripped his eye out. So Horus continued to fight. With all the knowledge he had as Osiris, he continued fighting Set, and that's how the story goes. Thank you, David. Much love, brother. You've always been there. True brother, it's always had my back right there. But when you try to understand what these people are worshiping, I can't put it any plainer than it is the fallen ones. It is truly the ones they wrote about, the fallen ones. People can twist it as angels, demons, and all this other stuff. They are entities that fell. And I hate to tell people, but they mingled with the women of this planet. They impregnated them, and they bore giants. And not just giants, the Nephilim, this other race. You see, and it's about that DNA and how pure that DNA is. This is also why they intermarry. It's not just to keep the wealth and everything. It is to keep a rich bloodline. You see. And if they have that there, they, through the processes that they're using, going right back to ISIS, they will try to bring forth the same spirits throughout this bloodline that has the power in this game of this world we live in. And see, to me, this is a test on all of us as a spirit. When we come into this, we didn't have the tools that Horus had. We don't have all the knowledge that he had in his other life. We don't have all this to work with. We've been stripped. But I think some of us, inside of us, we know in our heart, I think it shines through. It does with me. And I know it does in others. I know there's more to this. And I see what, I'm not just looking at what they're trying to teach us today. I look back at history. I look at all the different routes and avenues, like I said, to the ancient Pakistan, India, Egypt, even here with the Hopi Indians. I mean, everywhere we can reach. And I lay these stories over top of one another. And when you start to see the bigger picture, it paints something that they never want to talk about. But it's what they're worshiping. That's why when I say they're fake Christians, they're fake Muslims, they're fake Jews. When I tell you that Vladimir Putin knows this, when I tell you that Benjamin Netanyahu damn sure knows this, that your Pope knows this, that Trump knows this, that Obama knows this, that all of them know this, this is a game changer. But if I mention any one of the names and you're emotionally attached to them, it's going to be a problem. And you need to break away from that if you truly want to awaken. I'm trying to warn you.
It's all
They're
about
puppets. Love. They're puppets on a stage. Okay? They're puppets. They've sold you out. The earth is not flat. I'm not going to get on that kick yet. We can talk about it here in a minute. Go on.
It's come up a lot lately. I've had a handful of people hitting me up, talking about it, asking me what I think.
Scared. It needs to be discerned, and I'm going to give my opinions on it. Casey, you got any thoughts here on all this? A culmination of all this? You got it kicked off with the ball stuff there. Where I was.
Yeah, exactly. What about the Earth being flat, or?
No, I mean, before we tear into that, I want your opinions on that too. There, but I want
over ancient Egyptian history.
Yeah, what do you take from all of it? Everything that you've taken in. You're somebody that sits around and finds the crazy shit all day long and stuff that most people can't see or even wrap their head around, and it's always there. I mean, that's your gift and your knack that I see, but you see it more than others. I mean, some of us that deal with this all the time, it's like staring us right in the face. But everyone's got their own opinion, and I was interested in, like, where do you see this all sitting right now on this world stage?
We definitely have intermarrying going on. We have bloodlines that are controlling everything. There's got to be some crazy sorcery going on. If a little girl can put together a family tree showing all the presidents related, and absolutely nobody cares about that, that's when you know there's some crazy sorcery going on, deceiving people, because that should be front page news. Mm-hmm. It should be that Hillary and Donald Trump are related by John of Gaunt, the 14th cousins.
Yeah, but they can
she's his 21st generation niece is what Hillary is to Trump. I
She's
just posted that on
nice.
Twitter. Yeah. So hold on, let me find it real quick.
And it's John of God.
And he's not even a Trump. I want to remind everybody, if you do any research, you're trying to find the history on the Trumps, you're going to get no further than his father. And you're going to see that old Fred was a Drumpf. Just to put some background facts out there for folks that want to know. Trump was Drumpf, and he switched the name. His father, Fred, did. And that's where the name comes from. And
so Hillary Clinton is Donald Trump's 21st great aunt's 21st great niece. Okay. So Donald Trump's 21st great aunt, Hillary is her 21st great niece.
And the first thing that skeptics say is, well, everybody's related to everyone. That's not true. Okay. This bloodline thing is specific. In the American dream of you can be president one day if that's what you want, is simply not the case. It's a lie. You can't just be president. I can't be president because of my bloodlines, as far back as I could track them. And you just never get the truth. And so what's happening is we have the set of facts that proves what is happening, but no one seems to care. They seem to, I don't know if they think it's fake. I don't know what they think, but the facts are there. Now, when it comes to ancient Egyptian history, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I hear everything you're saying. I've heard the story of Osiris. I have to say that when it comes to Egypt, I err on the side of really not believing that many of these Egyptians were good people. But I could be wrong because I wasn't.
I believe some of them were not even fully human, to be honest with you. I believe characters like Anubis that worshipped with the dog head potentially really had a dog head. And I know for people just stepping into the game, it's going to sound crazy, but dude, I think that this place is a petri dish, and I think crazier than what people could. I mean, look at dinosaurs, for crying out loud. I mean, if those things could exist, all types of things could exist here. And I believe even in the stories and legends, hobbits, giants, they were all here.
Right. And it's interesting because in the Bible, the very first time the word Egypt is mentioned is after the flood. And it's Mizraim. Mizraim translates to the word Egypt. Mizraim was the son of Ham. Okay. So who was Ham? His son was cursed. So Mizraim's brother was cursed, who was Canaan. Canaan was Ham's son, Mizraim's brother. Okay. So they got off the ark, and the storyline, the bloodlines continue. Ham seems to carry the curse of the bloodline in through Mizraim. And then we had also Nimrod, who is descended from Cush. Okay. So all the bad guys in our world and in the world going forward descended out of that line of Ham. The good guys were like with his brothers, Japheth, and there was Shem, which were the other two sons of Noah. Those were the good guys, and they went to other parts of the earth. But all the bad stuff that happened in the Bible came through, like all the Philistines were descended from Ham, the Canaanites were descended from Ham, Mizraim, which was Egypt. And so right around that time, and maybe even pre-flood, maybe some of the pyramids did survive the flood, but basically after that, the empire of Egypt and all the pharaonic bloodlines basically existed after the flood through Mizraim. And here's the crazy thing. You can actually track this back. If you look at the dynasties, ancient Egyptian dynasties, you can track all this back to Mizraim as well. He was basically the first pharaoh.
Right. And then it gets down to the bloodline of even King Tut in the elongated skulls of it that all of them had.
Yeah, you'll notice all of the Egyptians are depicted. The Egyptian pharaohs are depicted 2 and 3 times the normal size of all of the other regular people in the hieroglyphs. Mm-hmm. It basically suggesting that they were giants. We also have the Dendera Lipo. We have the Ankh. We also have the Jed, D-J-E-D, which is where the Jedi came from, okay? Because the Jed represented the sacral part of the ox's spine, and the Ankh represented the thoracic portion of the ox's spine. So they worship this ox. Why did they worship the ox? Because ox is OX. It's the mark of the beast, Okay, O and an X inside of an O is an ox. Okay, that's the mark. And they would stamp this over the pineal gland, and that was basically meant you were postmarked, basically for destruction. Okay, and that's why, and the reason why the Sphinx has a headdress, they call it a headdress because it's an address. And if you have an address, then you're locked into this system. And when God passed over the Israelites' doors, they had to be postmarked. The posts and lintels had to be marked with the blood of the Lamb in order for God to pass over them and not kill their firstborn. See, all this stuff makes sense. When you look at the Sphinx, you begin to see how the Sphinx is the address. Everyone has a physical address. That's how they keep us locked in. You can't even live in this reality without a physical address.
It was said to have the Hall of Records sitting underneath of it. When they found the tunnel leading to it, we never heard another word of it.
Yes, they used the fear of hunger, cold, and heat to keep us all in a prison.
Thank you, Flower Child.
And that is the truth. And until we bust free from this matrix, we will always be part of Egypt. That is why the World Trade Center and the new Freedom Tower is laid out like the Belt of Orion, because that is the 3 pyramids of Egypt. It's laid out just like that because that is the World Trade Center, the dollar, the Joxman's-Dollar, which is from Germany.
And we have these places that sit on the line that all align around the planet. All these different places that we've talked about before, the different lay, not just the ley lines, but like the fire line, and how the one that goes through Pyramid of the Sun, through Sandy Hook, to the towers. Right on
188th ley line. And that's why the empty World Trade Center footprint, actually Lee visited that last year, I think it was. She was right there at Ground Zero at the World Trade Center Memorial. When you go into Google Earth and you line that up, the outside edge of the World Trade footprint, it aligns to 119 degrees. Why would it align to 119 degrees when it was built in 1973? 28 years before 9/11, 119 is 9/11 backwards. They basically built the footprint of that building to line up with the date of its destruction before it ever happened, 28 years before it happened. And that's why World Trade Center Building 7 opened in the 14th year, the halfway point to 9/11, they opened Building 7. And that building was 147 stories tall, and it opened in the Hebrew year 5747.
And it was never hit by a plane, and it also was pulled. And that was said on live television. They pulled it.
So what you have is Building 7 is the God building, okay? 7 is the number of like God and the sun. And then you have the 2 towers, which represented the 2 thieves on each side of the cross, okay? The eyes of good and evil. And what did they do? They tore down, they built order out of chaos. They tore down the towers and combined it into one tower, the Freedom Tower. This is the gray area. It's the rainbow. That's why a rainbow appeared over the World Trade Center.
It's a large phallus.
They're basically creating a do what thou wilt society. They're blurring the lines. That's why I had blurred lines with Miley Cyrus. It's all about the rainbow, and nothing is really concrete and definitive. There is no moral absolutes. It's all moral relativity. And that's the society that the enemy has built. And he's hoping that he can deceive each and every person on this planet so that all of us will be godless. And he's hoping that God will not have the heart to destroy this entire reality. That's the bottom line in a nutshell of the history of man.
Good explanation. Good talk. Got my wheels turning. Thinking about all types of different stuff here. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in. Everybody in the chat. What's up, Mike?
It's hard for people to wrap their heads around this, you know. It
takes time.
It's a lot to take in, you know. It took me some time. I'm sure it took all of us some time. But you know, when you think about the fact that, you know, how in depth this stuff has been researched, I mean, it's you can't make this shit up, man. I don't know any other way to put it. You know, with the lines and how it all works out, it's so much to wrap your head around that you can't make it up. If it's that hard for you to wrap your head around it, It's because it's been thought out.
What's become so hard about it is because everybody goes through a damaging system where you're taught BS. Basically, you're taught a hollow education, that doesn't give you the true history. I tell you Columbus sailed the ocean blue 1492, but they telling you the meat and potatoes of nothing.
Yeah, and that's the public school system. Now put it in a context of, you've gone to church your whole life. The way that religion has been laid out for people since the current way that we look at religion has been established, by the Catholic Church, the way that the Bible is, all of it is set up a certain way for the believers to believe a certain thing, and a lot of it is true, a lot of it is skewed, and a lot of it is manipulated, but it's not the fault of the person who believes what they believe.
Right, when they're taught
that's across the board. That's not just religion either. That's across the board, man. It's you're being taught by people who believe it too, unless you were around 5,000 years ago.
Right. What we got going on here, Eric?
I just want to end because I got to go head into work. But
okay.
If I can get my screen on,
there we go. You're on night shift now.
Tower City. It's that blue on the bottom, green on top again.
Huh.
Second time I've ever saw it do that. Usually it's like a reddish color or solid blue. I've never seen it that blue and green like that. Weird.
Well, thanks for the live shot from downtown Cleveland.
Have a good rest of your night, guys.
All right, yeah, you too, bro.
Eric. Take it easy, man.
Much love.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. People ask, okay, why this elaborate scheme? Why this elaborate plan? Okay, the way I can explain it to you best is we're dealing with superhuman intelligence. Okay, we're dealing with a system. We're dealing with principalities, not flesh and blood. This, you can't try to rationalize this because you won't even really be able to wrap your brain around it. It's almost like trying to understand God. You can't understand God because he knows the beginning from the end. He's 5 moves ahead of us on a chessboard. And the enemy is the same way. He's got superhuman intelligence. So some of these things transcend generations. They seem to leapfrog over the course of several hundred years. Like in hindsight, looking at the history of the United States, for instance, and how we were told we were free when we left England, but we never really were free because the bankers came right in and put us all in debt. We became debt slaves and we became patriots. They trained us from the very founding of this country to be fierce fighters for freedom. But then they used this fake freedom to make us basically barbarians.
Debt slaves.
But debt slaves and barbarians going around the world enforcing the New World Order, which is all run by the Crown of England. The Pope is the religious component, keeping everyone in check. Okay, and then the Queen is
the financial. They're the London. London is the second hub, and then DC is the military section. They are the third hub. That's Empire of the City. They fly the flag with the 3 stars.
Right. And then what they did with religion is they basically spun off all these doctrines, okay, all these denominations, so to keep us all divided. Basically, it's basically a house of cards. And they gave each pharaoh, each leader of each of these denominations, a sect because they knew that their families would be rich forever because Lutheran would go down in history as the father of the Lutherans, and C.T. Russell, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and these are all Masons. And basically, that's why true belief in God is outside of all that, because you're not being divided against your brother and sister through a religion.
Yeah, and I tried to explain to people that asked the question, how could they just worship Lucifer? And Mike said it earlier, when anyone's taught anything from birth, it's what you know. We're ton of different factions of Christianity here in this country, but it's the same with anything. Any child's born into a system and they don't have a free choice or connection to knowledge of anything else, they're going to come up thinking just that. It happens with every religion everywhere. So
Yeah, like the first thing that atheists will say is, well, yeah, look what belief in God has done, killed millions of people. It wasn't belief in God that did that. It was belief in a religious sect that did that. Okay. And they try to smear the name of God and belief in God by what a religion did. Okay. About dividing people. Well, it goes up beyond that. It transcends that. That's not what God is. You don't put God into a doctrine or a religion. If you think about the differences between all the doctrines out there and different sects of religion, which there are hundreds, by the way, there are very minor differences. The core belief is love, but there is no love because they're saying, oh, if you're not a Baptist, then I'm not going to talk to you. If you're not a Jehovah's Witness, I'm not allowed to associate with you. If you're not this, if you're not that. And that is divide and conquer. And it's the kingdom built on sinking sand. Okay? Christ told us to love one another.
That's the key.
It's true. 100% true.
And he is love. God is love. So if you're practicing love and you believe in the Father and the Son, you're there. Yeah. But you have to really live it. You have to live the righteousness. You have to try to copy the example of Christ that he set out for us.
And be open-minded. Have an open mind, you know. Some cat just blocked me on Twitter yesterday. I posted a picture. There was a sonogram picture of a baby that had the Rock On hand sign up, which of course also is the devil horns sign. And you know, I thought it was cute. It's an unborn baby. It's, you know, I love rock music, and to me that's the Rock On sign, right? Well, you know, a guy came at my throat about you know, why am I spreading satanic this and that, and I told him very, you know, politely that, listen, you know, go home, take a day off, take a nap, like, you know, feel better, and come back and let's address this again. And I had told him, listen, you know, you need to relax a little bit, you know, laugh at some things and not take everything so seriously, because the bottom line is whatever you believe.
You weren't pushing it in the name of Satanism.
Right. Whatever you believe, we're on the same team. You may not think it was funny, and that's fine. I can respect that. You don't have to think everything somebody posts is funny, and you can be against it. But understand that with what we do, with the big picture here, with who's really in charge, and the people that believe in love, I don't hate you because you came at me. I apologize to that person for you feeling disrespected because of my post. But in the same respect, don't, you know, and look, I don't care that he blocked me, but he's probably doing that to other people too, in turn, making it a situation where he's not opening himself up to where he could wake up a little bit more. The big picture is, I've got your back whether you're a Christian. I've got your back whether you're or not. I've got your back whether you believe the earth is flat or the earth is round. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you love me enough and I love you enough that when we have to stand in the street together, carrying whatever weapon it is we're carrying and protecting the people that we know are righteous and live for love, I've got your back. I don't care who you are. I've got your back. So before people go shutting people down because they don't like what they have to say, just keep in mind, we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
You know, we're doing this for our families, for each other, for love.
And there's a bigger enemy out there. The enemy walking about like a roaring lion, seeking to devour us. And basically, this is a spiritual battle, okay? And like I said, his main goal is to turn everyone against God, so hoping that God won't destroy the whole earth. And what I try to remind people is, God already destroyed the whole earth. You know, only 8 people survived out of the entire human race. He's not going to have a problem doing it again. So you need to make a choice. Are your sights set on this earth, in this earthly realm, in gold and silver and money, or is it set on the things of heaven? Is your treasure stored up in heaven, or is it stored up down here on earth? And that's the only question that you need to answer when you go to sleep at night. Where's your focus? Is it on doing the most you can to help other people to know God, or is it to be, you know, think about your future and your things and your family and your this and your that? It should be about the things of heaven, because this life, I got news for you. It's just a blip on the radar.
Yeah, but
But
people
in
are never
terms of,
taught about the spiritual essence. You
Amen
go
to
to all
that.
these churches, but no one's ever taught about the spiritual essence. They're never talking about. They're never taught the true function of spirit. What spirit is, the force of God, the life force, and everything that animates all life. They're not taught the workings of all these things. And I almost feel like these higher entities that are sitting here in the shadows, obviously understanding all this, are manipulating, working through the spirit realm, a realm which they know and are fully fluent in. But when you don't have an understanding and never taught the function of what you are, what you are made of, when no one truly wants to explain that to you, then how are you going to see the bigger picture? And I almost feel like that's what this dark entity is and is doing this whole time, manipulating everything with everyone so blind to not seeing what's really going on, that you are that spirit force is a force of God, as God lives through everything.
And let me explain something too. And this is something we've never talked about before. And I'm going to bust it out right now. Okay. Because the enemy is good at hiding God. God is all around you, and you see him through synchronicity. And I've seen this evidence firsthand because of just through the process of having a YouTube channel and having input from tens of thousands of people and seeing waves of synchronicity coming at me like I'm in some kind of vortex, just like smacking me every single day, waking up to synchronicity, and I can't even put it in words. You have to live the process to understand what I'm talking about. But what it does is it proves that all of this is connected, everything. And the enemy doesn't want you to see that, because once you see the interconnectedness of our universe, and once you see events synchronizing, numbers, birthdays, and you see that it is ruled by the dark and the light, once you begin to understand this, you finally understand that God is real. And they don't want you to ever understand that. So they basically create the synthetic reality through the media. They distract you with bells and whistles. I call it Las Vegas reality, where there's sounds and beeps and lights flashing and NLP, and they distract you with all of that so that you can never be still and know that he is God. Because when you're still, the synchronicities hit you like crazy. And it's all connected. It's like when you pick up the phone and someone's calling you that you were just about to call. That's the best example I could give.
Right.
Off the top of my head.
And Casey, you make a good point about the distractions too. I mean, and piggybacking off of what we learn from the time that we're born. It really is up to us as parents to make sure that our kids know what they know. My 17-year-old daughter's an 11th grader in high school. She's in health class right now, and she came to me the other day and told me that they literally told her, and I don't even know why they're bringing this up in school, but they literally told my 17-year-old daughter that a child at the age of 8 can start becoming attracted to the opposite sex. Now, whether that's true or not, sure, I don't know, but why are they bringing that up to kids that are susceptible to implanting the seed of something that they may not think to do? Now you've got a boy, even if it's one kid across the entire country, hearing this in a Common Core setup, right? That now thinks that 8-year-old may be attracted to me.
And
why would you tell my kids this? And I told my friend about that, and they came back at me and said, well, what are you going to tell your daughter? They said, well, you can't tell your daughter that you don't have to believe everything you hear in school. And I said, you're damn right I can tell her that. And I did. I sat Madeline down. I said, listen, you're going to hear some things in this system that may not sound right to you. Use your own judgment. If you don't talk to your kids, people, they're gonna use the judgment that's being fed to them through the media, through their devices that they can't put down, through their televisions, I mean, for Christ's sake, nobody even knows what AM radio is anymore. It's all being fed to you through one device. All of it. Everything that they're learning, in addition to the Common Core setup in school. So, it was disgusting to me when she told me that they told her that. and they went over the different ages, specifically talking about sexual attraction from in children.
Here's
Fell out of my chair when she told me.
Here's where all this is headed, and it's at its core, it's pedophilia, because they want to lower the age of consent. So basically, what they've done is proven to you
it's child sacrifice.
And that there is sexual.
It's the harvesting of that energy more than anything. When you have a child and torture,
and somebody in the chat,
fear, they harvest it.
Yeah, somebody in the chat just said, "What about biology 101?" That's fine. If my daughter was 20, a little bit more mature, and in a college situation with other mature adults, and they can touch on a subject like that, that's fine. But my daughter's 17 in high school with kids that are becoming, with all the boys in her classes that are now sexually mature, that the only thing they have on their mind is being with a girl, and you're going to tell that kid,
loaded. Calm down, Mike, calm down.
Right.
Listen. Let me,
yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
Hey, I understand what you're saying though, fully, because it shouldn't. It's planting the seeds there that put a thought there that, in other words, wouldn't have been there.
But basically, what they're doing is they're also tagging that child as having the ability to have sexual thoughts. Mm-hmm. That is the problem here, because what that then does,
that's my point. That's what I'm most frustrated about, is why even implant that sexual seed into a high schooler's head about children, and we know why.
And then you have a man, a full-grown adult, who now can label themselves as a child. Basically, they can say, okay, we have transsexuals, we have all this. Well, my new identity, my sexual identity is I'm a child still. And there are real men, grown men out there wearing baby outfits. And then this is the means that they're going to use to allow adult pedophilia with children. They're going to say that 8-year-old girl has sexual thoughts. We've proven it. And this man thinks he's a baby. And so therefore, the two can come together. That's where all this is headed. It's called lowering the age of consent. And they've been doing it. And it's going to get, in some states, it's 16 and 14 years old. And I believe that's where all this is headed.
Unbelievable.
Mark my words.
And I appreciate you guys in the chat looking out. I'm okay. I'm not pissed off. I've already gone through my pissed off days. But this is a subject that, I mean, think about it. All of your kids, all of you guys in the chat, all of my friends, everybody we know most of us have kids that are in the public school system. So when you sit back and really take the time to talk to your children and find out what it is they're learning in health class through every grade level, it's important to do that. So, going back to we are who we are based on what we've learned growing up. It's up to us as parents to stay on top of that, because you can't put trust in anybody out there. The public school system, other people in your neighborhood, Uncle Larry, you can't put trust in anybody except for your blood, the people that love you more than anybody else. And it's up to you to prove that love to your children, because you can't complain when they end up in jail, or they end up, a pedophile, because you gave your child zero attention from the time they were born. You just got to stay on top of your kids.
Well, and Jesus gave a specific warning about people who hurt the children. So he knew that people would be hurting children. Basically, the gist of it was hope that you die in this reality and not have to suffer in hell for what you've done to these children.
Yeah. And I see what you said, Q. The little kids don't question their gender. And I know that that's a touchy subject. I have, kids in my life that are wrestling with gender identity issues. And that's the great debate right now, actually, is where this stems from. And it's a debate that I don't particularly care to get involved in. I'll sit back and watch, but I'm going to do my research. I'm going to listen to the findings that come out. And I don't know that anybody's ever going to come to a conclusion about that. That type of biology is hard to nail down solid answers.
The way the rule should be is, no matter how old you are, it should be comparative intelligence. And so a child is a child. So a child shouldn't be manipulated by someone 3 times their age. It's not fair biologically.
Right.
It should be pairing. And see, this all, again, goes back to biblical principles. Evenly yoked means that you're of comparative intelligence, comparative things, and comparative everything. And so, see, this is where the pedophiles, they fail, because they try to justify that this child is somehow an adult, right? They put a computer in their hand. They say that they're having sexual thoughts, and all of a sudden that qualifies them to have sex with an adult. This is how these pedophiles think, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you think about it in other terms, that these kids are kids. They have not lived in life yet. They don't have the intelligence to make choices about their sexuality, especially long-term choices, okay? Mm-hmm. So they are basically being manipulated. They're being basically deceived, lied to, manipulated, so that someone can use them as a victim. And that's the bottom line. And, you know, again, but watch out. This year, 2017 is going to be the year you're going to start seeing legislation starting to creep in. We already saw it in California, where they're saying that a child basically cannot be convicted of prostitution. And everyone thought that was a good thing, because it's not the child's fault that they're a prostitute. No, here's the problem. When you take away that label, all of a sudden the person who is committing the crime against that child is going to have less, it's going to be less, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's not gonna. They're not going to feel as sorry for putting these children in that position. And same thing with the pimps, because you start to say that the consequence for a child under the age of 16 is now going to be to put them into a facility where they can get some help for a couple of weeks, as opposed to trying them as an adult and putting them in county jail for prostitution. You know, then all of a sudden the pimps say, well, hey, now I can push a whole new clientele, a whole new type of person, and not worry about this person going to jail over it. They'll just come right back to me in a couple of weeks when they get out of their outpatient day camp or whatever, for, you know, learning how to not do that type of thing. So as good as the intention may be on some sides of the coin, there's a serious lack of attention being paid to the other side of the coin.
Exactly. Wow, beat
it's
that
all
up.
about the kids. We've been hearing it our whole life. You know, these children, every generation has heard it, and I don't need to tell you guys listening. They are, as cliche as it sounds, they are the future. They are our family's future, our bloodline. Our bloodlines are what are important. The Robertson family bloodline, the Knight family bloodline, the Stars family bloodline, because Casey, I don't know your last name. So you know, it is. You get my point. Like that's what's important.
I call it
of your own.
Exactly. I call it the Peter Pan sexual orientation. It's where an adult person wants to be a child. We saw this with Michael Jackson. We saw it with James Alefantis, who runs a pizza ping pong place, and, you know, claims to and basically acts like a child, okay, running around tossing pizzas in the air with this dumb smile on his face, okay.
Yeah,
we've seen this time and time again, and this is how they try to justify this kind of behavior. And okay, I'm going to tell you, all of my Pizzagate videos were defunded, and all I did was show images from this Pizza Slime website, published images on the internet, and all of a sudden I'm defunded. Underground World News.
And I want to make it clear to the naysayers out there that the only reason that it's being brought up is not to point out the fact that money got stopped, but this is to point out what they're paying attention to on the back end. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that, because Casey's not upset because his monetization got shut off. What this is an opportunity to see, out of all the videos that have been posted, which ones are they going to pull the plug on, and that'll tell you why they're pulling the plug on them.
Right. And most channels will stop making videos on certain subject matter if these videos are defunded. And that's just the truth. Everybody knows it. And then there's other channels that are real, like our channels, like Dabu's channel, that no matter what, we're gonna run the story, okay? Because it's real. We're not gonna bow down to their tactics. We're not gonna start trying to change the titles in our videos just so everything is, you know, funded. Okay. And this is why Dabu was talking about networks earlier. And he's right. You know, these networks came in and they made all these promises, you know, that, you know, this and that, and we were going to make sure that your channel was going to grow and this and that. But the problem is that it is not a fit. A network is not a fit for a true channel, because networks put you in this box. And if you don't play along in the box, then the network can help you. It's of no help to be in a network if you're a truther, because every title of any video you put out is going to get defunded. Now, if you were a gamer and you were doing some kind of gaming video, then you're going to be fine. Okay, but if you're a truther, you know, and we put a lot of work into this. You know, we get up every single day, and this is all we think about is finding the truth, digging and finding the truth. And for many of us, we're able to get out of the grid, get out of the box, and get out of the cube, so that we can concentrate on being watchdogs. Because if people like us aren't watching the New World Order and debunking them and exposing them, then who's going to do it? The mainstream media is not going to do it.
Casey, can you do me a favor and just break down, just as per a couple of people in the chat, can you just break down what you mean, define the word network for everybody, please?
Networks were put in place to be the liaison between YouTube and the content creators. And at first it sounded like a good thing. We were going to have an inside lane to have our network person actually talk to YouTube, because you can't get a hold of YouTube. It was supposed to have leveraging power. We were supposed to be a group that all of our views put together could battle against any kind of censorship and all these things. These are the promises that were told to us. And then by the end of it, it became one big sponsor, basically scramble. And they tried to convince us that, oh, sponsors is normal and people respect sponsors. But then, look, I can understand someone having one sponsor, but if your channel is loaded up with sponsor after sponsor after sponsor, and all of a sudden it's not about the truth anymore, okay? Plain and simple. The day that you wake up and the first thing on your mind is my sponsor, you have failed to become a true channel at that point. You've sold out, plain and simple.
Yep, and none of those top money men are righteous. That's the big problem. Yep. It all comes down to the heart. It comes down to the hearts of men and women. And so as I can see, I haven't seen a good one yet. That's how, if I did, I'd be talking about them and showing you and saying and pointing them out. I haven't seen one that's given back to any of these guys. Any of these guys that run the street streaming, I ain't seen them donate for gas money to help them out, make sure they're okay, for anything. Nope. Haven't watched them do none of it. And that right there is all I need to see. Period. Actions speak louder than words. When I see him just sucking it all in and not giving nothing to no one, it tells it all. And that's going right into his point there about the greed in the game. And it's going to bother someone, obviously, or anyone out here that fights the good fight, because you see it's deception, and it's doing damage. And it's doing damage to other people out there. They're consuming their garbage on a daily basis. But
I mean, look, for people that are in the Matrix still, okay, and they're living their life, they have no idea about the truth, a network might work out for them, okay, because they'll just sell out, they'll load up with a bunch of sponsors, right, make a bunch of money, and none of their stuff's going to get censored because it's all fluff and it's all just gaming stuff or fake news or whatever, right? But for real people like Dabu and I, this has been a struggle. Now I'm stuck because I signed a contract, okay? I'm in this. But I got a lot of respect for Dabu because he turned his back on this. Even though promises were still being made, he's like, this isn't a fit. You know, you want me to load up my channel with sponsors? Can't do that. You want me to change the titles of my videos? You want to, just so they'll pass your screening and your algorithms? I'm not going to do that. And that's a big move. That told me all I needed to know about Dabu. And I was the one that showed Dabu the network. I'm like, hey, I think this is a good thing. And I thought it was at the time. And it turned out it wasn't. And here we are now, and things have only gotten worse with YouTube. They're monitoring everything. They're censoring everything. They're picking on the truthers. Pretty soon there's going to be no truthers left. But you notice all the fluff channel truthers are going viral.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say a name, but there's a channel out there that I knew personally who came to me and asked me for my help to get started. And I helped this person. And this person has twice the number of subscribers that I do, and basically bootlegging off my work. And the videos are in the millions of views. I don't have one video that has over 1 million views. Okay. I don't even have a video over 500,000 views.
And you know, that's what blows my mind, because when I come across channels in my lifetime, you've been one of the most unique that I've ever seen. And it just blows my mind.
It's 100% true.
Where you sit, it's like they've got a lid on you. They always have. And I know it's because of the substance. I know it's because of the message. I know that. And it's frustrating. There's no other way to cut it. It is flat out frustrating for anyone out there that wants to step into those shoes. That's what it is. It's a constant attack of censorship. And
I'll be happy to report.
It blows my mind. Casey should have well over 100,000 subs, easy in my mind.
Easy.
I mean, dude, and he's right. I've watched others with way less, just puff and fluff, set their sails, jump on a train, and not care about the truth. And that's the bottom line. That's the problem. That's what I get passionate and angry about. That's what these guys get passionate and angry about, because we truly care. And when you see sellouts, you got to call them out. You know, you see people doing things, even if you know them. Like when I had to call Pete Santilli from bullshit, I had to do it. No, at the time, I love Pete. Pete's up here, trooper. I had to deal with the whole wave of everyone that bought into it. But I had to bite down on the bit and keep swinging, rolling with the punches, and call it how it is. And we saw how that hashed out. But
you know, believing that love is the key is not necessarily saying to just put a smile on your face 24 hours a day, because for there's a very small percentage of people that believe in love, but they because of that, they censor themselves. They put themselves in positions where they're not really speaking their mind or speaking out and just going with the flow. But it's okay. It's okay to get upset. It's okay to get mad that George Soros is pushing certain agendas. It's okay to get mad that a high school health teacher is teaching children about 8-year-old kids being attracted to sexually to other kids or anybody for that matter. You know, it's okay to get upset about that, because if you don't get upset about it, and if the people don't get upset about these things, how are we ever going to even have an attempt or even a chance at changing any of these things? Change comes with motivation, be it positive or negative. Look, I'm mad as hell at that teacher in the high school. You know what I mean? But would I stand up in the street with that person to defend their rights and defend their freedom of speech? Yes, 100%. The teacher's probably just as brainwashed by what they're being told to tell these kids than anybody else. It's all a part of a bigger agenda, and you can absolutely get upset by that. Don't censor yourself, ever.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, I think we're going to wind it down here. It's been a long one tonight, guys.
Yeah, listen, is it okay if I want to let you guys know, we've been trying to get shows going on other nights. It's something that we've been talking about for a little while, and I've been trying to nail down a good night for me. I've also been trying to nail down, technology-wise, the way to do it. I've been waiting to make sure that my testing is complete before I bring it up. But I just want to make sure that I mention, starting this coming Wednesday at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be going live on my channel for the first time. This Wednesday will be the first time I go live on the channel. I've always done Periscope and things like that. But I'd like to get into the YouTube platform as well. I think it's a good way to not have to worry about saving your shows. It automatically happens for you, and Periscope comes with a whole bunch of other problems, technology-wise.
I'm surprised you haven't had one up to this point.
Well, you know what? It's for me. It's been a matter of personal life. I just did a move. I've gone through a bunch of different things. So and I had to get a new computer. So I finally nailed down a new computer. I finally nailed down everything that I needed to do in order to get this set up. So
Awesome.
my channel on YouTube is I'm Mike Robertson. Same thing as my Twitter handle. At I'm Mike Robertson if you want to follow me on Twitter. But I will, starting this coming Wednesday, 9 o'clock. And, Casey, Dabu, you guys are more than welcome anytime to come in and hang out with me and go over stuff. My focus is going to be a lot on like current events and things like that. So, but we can get into any topic. It's what we do. So please, guys, anytime you'd like to join me, I'll send you links every week.
Hell yeah. Of course, Casey's always going live, dropping videos, and
shout out to Danny, by the way. I see him in there. He came up with an awesome intro for me. He spent the last 48 hours working some recording stuff and laid down an awesome intro track for my show. So
that's
shout
cool.
out to Danny Ellis, man.
Hell yeah, appreciate it when everybody pitches in. If you guys get any information out there you want me to get out, let me know. Dabu7yahoo.com. Links to everything we talked about in the description box here tonight. I'm going to shut it down for this evening. I want to thank everybody that tuned in. And, yeah. Days are just flying by these days, it seems like. Y'all just be
Much love,
safe.
everybody. Don't let the system get you down.
Yeah, be smart. Much love. And we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Peace.
Later.